Hello everyone, and welcome back to Planet Zoo. Today I'm just going to tell you a little about what I've been doing off camera. So what I did was, first of all, I had to have a look at the ostrich and the warthog habitat. I don't think this is working. I think what's happening is they're getting a little bit on top of each other because it's quite a small habitat. So I've had to remove a lot of the greenery out, which is making it look a little bit bare. So what may happen is we'll probably release the ostriches into the wild because they're getting a lot of stress coming in. There's a lot of people wandering around and looking in. They don't like it. There's not enough space for them to hide. So it's a difficult environment for them to be in. I could also just pop them in my trade center and leave them for a little bit, see if we can expand this habitat or just make another one. Because what I've noticed actually is a lot of these habitats are quite small, unnecessarily small, given the absolute size of the building area that we've got. So it may well be in a future long-term plan we look at making this area a little bit more of a kind of garden area with just a couple of habitats in and expand into something far bigger with the large build area that we've got. I also started introducing some new animals. We released a lot of the females into the wild and kept our male to create some new breeding pairs because we were getting a lot of inbreeding. I finished off the staff area, put some moss creeping up the walls and put in all of those planters that I said I was going to do. I then ran into a little bit of trouble with my water treatment because it wasn't getting repaired after it had broken down, and I thought this was because it was inaccessible. It's turned out that that's not the case. It's just not part of a work group, so I'll need to set that as part of a work group and my mechanics should finally stop ignoring it. Now today we're going to work on two new habitats. They're going to be for pygmy hippos and African buffalo. I'm really excited to build these ones because I think they're going to be a huge pull and it's going to draw the crowds right around that circle and we can finally remove those coming soon signs. Another thing that I may need to do in the future just to work out the crowd control, because the alligators are now going to that viewing area, which is really nice. We're going to have to move the turtle habitat we're going to flip it. Anyway, let's get on with our speed build. So as you can see, I've caused a little bit of chaos by what I did was actually I left a barrier invisible in between the habitats, and as soon as I put the animals in they all started merging with one another and they pretty much swapped habitats. So I've just gotten things under control, just about. There's still a pygmy hippo loose somewhere and then we'll start building. So what I want to do is I'm going to start with the pygmy hippos. We're going to build them a little shelter and then we're going to fill this out with trees and rocks and some other things, maybe put a few enrichment activities in. We're going to build a nice little jetty coming out into that little lake that we've built them, and we're going to pop their feeder on that. With the African buffaloes, I want to make a waterfall coming off those rocks that back out onto the turtle habitat, and that will then kind of create this nice little scene for them. So we're just starting with this little build here. We're going to make a little shack for them, fill it with bedding and make sure that it's completely invisible, well, not seeable by the public. We're going to leave one little window in there and pop the beds down right next to it, but it's not going to be something that I want visitors to just wander past and have a look at them in there. I think what we may start doing in future with these habitat builds as well is pop little staff areas in. So we're going to make the staff entrances kind of part of a larger building so that it looks like it's supposed to be part of a zoo rather than just having them come into these barriers that are open. And I think that'll really kind of make it nice and blended in. So the initial plan was to make this a 3x2 building, but that's taking up a lot of space. So we're just going to make it a little 2x2 square, pop a nice roof on it, and we'll just raise it a little bit. And then we can pop in some posts to kind of make that jetty look part of the scenery rather than just a floating bit of wood sticking out over a lake. I'm really excited to be building these habitats. Like I said, I think there'll be a big pull. It's I've never actually built habitats for these types of animals. A lot of the stuff that I've done already I have done before, so I kind of know how it works. So this is going to be kind of breaking new ground for me, and it's going to be quite interesting. I'm excited to have the African buffalo because they're breeding pairs, well, their breeding families pretty much are quite big, so you can have one dominant male and 3 or 4 females. So that's going to be really nice for kind of building up our conservation points. We can get them, raise them to maturity. I can't remember how long it takes to raise them to maturity, but once we get that done, we can just release them all into the wild, which will be really nice. The pygmy hippos as well are going to be quite a good pull as well. They also look really cute, and the babies are even cuter, so that's going to be an exciting thing. Just finishing off the roof on this. We've gone for a thatched roof, but I'm not quite sure. I don't really like that square one being on a curved wall at the moment, but I think we'll leave it maybe. It looks nice. I'm not quite sure about the thatch roof on the wood. We'll leave it like that. We can probably change it to something else at a later date. I'll have a little look. What I like to do off cam is I like to come in and do little touch-ups, because other than it would take so long. And I would like to kind of carry on this series to a little bit where I'm quite happy with how things are as a nice small zoo, and then we'll maybe start a new series where we think big. This zoo is bringing in quite a lot. You can see we've got 134,000 in the bank, and it is growing really well. So maybe we should have a look at doing something more difficult, changing the game mode, making it a little bit harder, because I think that would be really nice. We're now on to the phase where we are putting in our greenery, making some nice little adjustments and popping some plants in, just to kind of flesh this little habitat out a little bit. And I think I'll put some underwater grasses in. Just making sure that everything kind of fits in with them. Nice. Just peppering stuff around. I love the mangrove trees. Once you get their placement right, they look really nice, and they really fit in quite well. And I know I don't need to put these water trough things in, but I like to have them anyway for now, because the animals will just drink from the lake. But I prefer to have those in as well, because it means they can kind of walk up to them, people can see them drinking, and it's cute. It's a nice little addition. Just going to put in a few rocks here just to finish this off. That's nice. And a few here that we'll move into position once we've got that sorted. And then I think we may need to change the terrain paint, because these rocks don't sit very nicely on grass. It looks a little bit weird. Looks a little better, but it could use a little bit of kind of a little bit more opaqueness, I suppose, on the terrain painting there. Okay, that looks nice. They're already going for their enrichment, and people are already watching. I should probably put in some information boards. And that's 1 and 2, lovely, and a donation box. Great, so they seem happy. And now we can move on to the buffalo. Sometimes I always do this where I think maybe I'll do the brick posts with wood fences, and it never works. I give up on it eventually. One day I think it'll look nice, but I prefer to design my own actually, and I'll do that at some point. What I think I'll probably do as well, actually, off cam, I'll go into creative mode, sandbox mode, and just design a few extras that I can just drop in, because it'll save me building in these speed builds, and we can just focus on getting everything out. Because I'd like to do like a full kind of a day at the zoo where we kind of look around and explore every habitat. And once we finish this project, and it's probably a good idea to actually set kind of an end goal for this one before we move on to our next zoo. But again, we can think about that another time. Just filling these out with grasses. I love these grasses because they're big and they have a lot of dimensions to them, so we can sink them into the soil a bit, we can put them on rocks and things like that, and they blend in really nicely. And they're also great for the actual habitat. The animals like them. You can see there we've put a little football in for the buffalo to play with. I love when they play with it, but they do tend to like yeet it. Like sometimes, especially when there's a lot of grass and stuff, you'll just lose it. One of them will come along, charge into it, and just smack it, and it'll just bounce around the habitat and go God knows where, and you have to come back and reset it. So we've got a lot of forest scorpions ready to sell, and some Goliath bird eaters. our exhibits are bringing us in a really nice steady income. They'll kind of bring in about 3 to 4k every time we do a little pass and sell everything. We just need to make sure that we are maintaining a young breeding pair, because as they get older and die, we may end up with a lonely exhibit animal. That's our new female warthog. Oh no, what's... Oh god, the buffalo. What's happened? Is the barrier too small? I think the barrier is too small. And this guy's coming as well. I need to do something. Oh, he's going for the... There we go, that's what it was. What do they need? Is it 1.25? They're all coming. Come on, cut them off. He's just... Surely not. I don't know what to do here. He just jumped right back over, and that was a 2-meter high barrier. Let's just have a look at the habitat size they need. Barrier higher than 1.25. Okay, right, that was the problem. I left all the barriers too short. We don't need emergency capture game. Stop it. Right, so these need to be higher than 1.25. So I'll just keep them at 1.3. Bloody spring... I'm going to have to rename him like Spring-Heeled Jack or something. Right, let's sort this barrier out and then we'll carry on. Okay, so that's done now. The next task I want to do today is modify the crocodile habitat a little bit. We were getting a lot of complaints that the visitors couldn't see the crocodiles, and it's because they've got such a large landmass here that they don't really need. So we're going to pull this viewing barrier a little bit closer, reducing the size of the habitat. Then we'll run a path closer to that barrier so that they can come right up to it. And that should give them enough space to actually see the crocodiles when they're basking and see them actually in the lake from this viewing area as well. We are obviously, because we've already put a path in, we're going to have the usual difficulty in adjusting things and getting things right. But we have quite a bit of space to play with, so that should be okay. But I do think maybe off cam I'll come in and tidy this up properly, but I just want to show you kind of an idea of what I'm looking to achieve with this. And it also gives us a nice opportunity to build a habitat opposite this and create a nice second viewing platform, because we'll have such a large, almost plaza-like thing here. We could also just beautify it, make it look nice, put a few different plants in and things like that, and make it a nice little seating area where people can come and have a little break, put a few vending machines in. Lots of ideas we can do with this space, but for now, the main focus is adjusting the habitat itself and getting that properly up to scratch and making sure that there's a nice viewing area for people. Frustratingly, we're going to have to go with this weird angled approach because the path just wasn't behaving, so we'll leave it at that for now. I should also probably box up our animals, because now we've got a load of alerts coming up. The African buffaloes are having low welfare, they're a bit stressed. It may well be that we need to build some hard shelter for them in the future, but we'll work that out. I also need to change up these work areas, there we go, because when we removed the entrance to the alligator habitat, we lost the work area. Anyway, that's that done and reset. We're just going to have a look at our African buffalo, and make sure that that's okay. Yeah, they seem to be de-stressed now. It may well be because there was a surge of people, and again, there's not a lot of space. And as you can see there, just from that zoom out, there's a huge amount of space that we need to utilize and build in. Looks like our African buffalo mating there, which is great. So we're approaching darkness. There's not a lot I can do, so I may just wait until it gets light again, and then we'll close out this episode by finishing off a few different things. Already bringing in a load of money from the Pygmy Hippo and the buffalo, which is great. And our Pygmy Hippos are about to have offspring already. That's great. So we're just going to wait then, and I think we'll close out the episode with this baby Pygmy Hippo being born. They are really cute. Are you gonna... It says offspring imminent. This Pygmy Hippo's hungry. Can he make it up there? Let's just speed things up a little bit, I think. Yeah, you can. You can. Okay, that's good. I may need to make that a little bit of a better access ramp, but we'll work it out. Is she gonna make it? Yeah, that's a bit of a struggle. Oh, I was expecting a baby, not crapping. God. He must know people are watching. Come on. Let's just speed it up again. Back in the water. Go, you're making us wait. Come on. I also think, actually, it's probably a good idea we'll go out and name some animals. Oh, there we go. Was that the baby? I think it was. No, it wasn't. Meanwhile, the African buffalo are mating like crazy. We're going to have a full herd by the time this episode finishes. Let's just have a look at how this new habitat's working out. Okay, yeah. Saltwater crocodile can be seen now. That's fantastic. There is a little bit of a demand for drink shops, so we'll look to build that in the next episode, I think, and make a little plaza, as we promised a couple of episodes ago, over by the creepy crawlies habitat. And I think that'll be nice. Bring people out in that direction a little bit. And what I might also do is make an underwater viewing area for the crocodiles, just to see if that works. And then we can start plotting out some tendrils coming off this main circle, because we want to pop the waterfall in here. Just going to reset that football because it's lost in the water. There we go, more offspring due. June. Not that long. So, a zoo is looking great. What I think the next step is going to be, like I said, we'll create those food and drink areas. And we're also now going to put in some paths coming off either side of this circle, heading into new areas that we will expand to. We'll just make some mazy looking. This one's going to be the one for our food and drink area. And what we'll do is we'll pull down this terrain here in future. Then I'm going to have another tendril coming off this way and just looping around a bit. We may delete these. These are just a guide for now, and then we'll have another one coming off in this direction and a final one. We'll make that one a little bit better, change the angle a touch. There we are. And a final one coming off in this way. And then we can put some greenery or new habitats or whatever. It looks like a fat gentleman who's tilting his head. That was not intentional. Anyway, we've got a lot done today, and I hope you enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to expanding this zoo further. Like I said, we may do a little bit more off-camera work to touch things up and work out where we're going to go from there. But other than that, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you give me a like, a comment, and a subscribe, and I will see you next time.